Well, I told you my dad grew up in a family where his dad took a lot of jobs and didn't stick with any. And my dad decided he was going to do that different. So at 18, he went to work for Bristol Myers Pharmaceutical Company, sweeping floors with his 8th grade education. And he stayed there for over 35 years and worked his way up into middle management. He had the opportunity to take early retirement, so he chose to do that. And on the day of his last day at work, I called home ahead of time and said to Mom, hey, don't tell Dad I'm coming, but I want to come and just say thanks. Thanks for giving us a leg up. Thanks for making a difference. Thanks for going to the same place for all those years and giving us an opportunity to have a better life. And I said to my mom, and tell Dad you'll pick him up that day. So she picked me up from the airport. We went over to where my dad works, and I watched my dad come out of his office. And he was coming out of an outside staircase. He had his box of stuff, from his office he'd packed up. And I knew it would be a mixed emotion day. Glad to be starting something new, but sad to be leaving a people and place he'd been with for so long. He had his head down. He was coming through the security gate, the same security gate that I remember picking him up at when I was a kid. I was on the other side. As he started coming through the gate, I started clapping. He looked up to see who the idiot was, saw it was me. And we had a great time reunion that night, the next day, and then I flew home that following afternoon. And a couple weeks later, I got this thank you card from my dad. It's actually kind of a silly-looking thank you card. And he says some really nice things in here to me about coming and how proud and what a surprise and how much he cherished that. And then he closed out his note to me this way. Someday when this life is over for me here on earth, maybe God will let me stand at the gate and applaud you on your last day of work and to welcome you home. And here's the deal. You and I may never, ever, ever hear the words of appreciation. We may never get the thank you or the applause from somebody that we think maybe we should. But if you know His grace, if you've loved God and loved your neighbor, on the day you draw your last breath, the Father of the universe is going to stand at the gate and applaud you and say to you, well done.